We have a caller on the air, on the line. Caller, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Okay.
Good evening.
Is this Dustin?
Yes, it is. I apologize for calling in a little late there.
The problem
That is quite all right.
Yeah,
we
we
just literally switched to the FB results sheet.
Just so happens we turn the page and you call.
Oh, how about that?
Is that camera? I guess that camera's working,
there, didn't
it? Yeah, I guess that camera's working, and you can see us turn the page. So, Dustin, you're the series director for the FB or F1000 series.
I do the marketing and promotions end of it. The series is kind of more organized by the drivers themselves, but I try to make sure that everybody knows about it and they look good. That's pretty much my job.
Okay, so you do that for the Pro Series or for
the North American Formula 1000 Championship, correct?
Okay. Yep.
Now, you were in Indianapolis this weekend, correct?
Yes, we combined. The drivers wanted to run Indianapolis, as most everybody did. That's why they had almost 1,000 entries for the runoffs.
Right.
And so one of the things we did was combine the final race of our championship, round 11, with the SCCA runoffs. So we kind of had two races in one, the FB Championship as well as the Formula 1000 Championship.
That's fantastic.
And our favorite boy for South Jersey, anyway, even though he's not a South Jersey member, but he's always with us anyway. You know, he's I guess you can say a transplant. Is Alex Mayer. I guess
absolutely. He went on to not only set an amazing fastest lap. I'm pretty sure the fastest lap turned over 2-week time in Formula B and won the runoffs. He came out again with the inaugural championship in the Formula 1000 series as well.
Wow, that's pretty good. And that's out of 18 entrants. You know.
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah, it was a pretty big field this year. It was very interesting to watch. Gary Hickman and Alex had a wheel-to-wheel battle pretty much the whole race. It was very interesting. They at one point they got so close that Gary's nose actually interlinked with the tow bar lifts on the rear of Alex's car, and they went through a corner and hooked up, actually attached. And Alex said he kind of all of a sudden didn't have any contact in the rear, and they pivoted almost like a trailer would going through a corner.
Oh, wow.
Alex said it was an entertaining ride.
Oh, wow. Yes,
and they managed to all hold it together.
Absolutely. They traded places just lap after lap. If you look at the leaderboard, I'm not sure it really does it justice because it only counts it when they cross start-finish, but they were trading places almost 2 or 3 times a lap going through. It was definitely a great race.
Nice to see somebody giving Alex a run for his money.
Yeah, it was. It was entertaining. I know that the past couple of years, Gary and Alex have battled wheel to wheel. I know at Daytona, Alex came in second to Jared Osborne, but Gary was right on his heels there as well, and they had a really good battle there. So it seems like definitely a perennial thing going on here at the runoffs. Alex and Gary Hickman battling very close for their win or wherever they end up.
Yeah, and championship at the same time. Like 2 championships, technically.
Yeah,
the winner-take-all race
in one weekend. That's kind of a good way to end the year, I think. Coming home with the FB Championship and the Formula 1000 Championship for sure.
Yeah, right. and he didn't even have to drive 2 races like Andrew.
Yeah, that's right. One race.
Right. I don't know if you were listening or aware, but I'm sure you know Andrew Alcalani was able to bring home 2 championships on Friday.
Yes, absolutely.
Go ahead.
You know, it always amazes me drivers that are able to do that when they switch because every car you have to drive a little different and things like that. No matter, even I know some guys that'll spend the week, and we had Dave O'Leary in our class that runs P2 as well as F1000, and they change the body over and do all that. And even though it's a similar car, you still drives different. And you know, I know guys that change motors and things. And it's amazing to me that people can go back and forth all week long with qualifying and testing and then the race. And you'd be able to pull that off in 2 classes at such a highly contested event like the SCCA runoffs is definitely something that should be commended for sure.
No, absolutely. They're not just doing it, but they're doing it at that level and often succeeding.
Absolutely. It's definitely an amazing thing. I can't really understand. You know, it's hard enough to win one. You know, I can attest to that. I've tried 2 or 3 times and never came out on top. So it's definitely something that to do it twice in 1 year in 2 different classes is an amazing feat.
Definitely, yeah. Joe admitted to me once that he wanted to win, tried to win for a long time. Finally, kind of gave up on it for himself, but he stays involved because he enjoys it so much, and he gets to support his son, who, second generation growing up doing it, which Joe didn't have the privilege of. Props to Joe for giving Andrew that opportunity. He's been able to a certain extent, live vicariously and succeed through Andrew. So it's a neat team and family effort there.
Oh yeah, well, his brother's involved in it, and his nieces are involved in it, his sons and everything. So
yeah. Speaking of family efforts, I've been impressed with the whole. What do you call it? Meyer Motorsports, is that their team, right?
Yeah, Mayor Motorsports.
Mayor,
yes,
yep.
absolutely. It's definitely a family affair going on over there.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they don't
have,
ever leave well enough
both,
alone.
Alex's mom and dad and sister, and Alex's girlfriend was there this weekend. And family friends are always pitching in.
Yep, they're all involved in everything else. I know. When they run with us down in South Jersey, I talk to them all the time. In fact, I even had lunch in their trailer last time.
Oh, nice.
Well, the air conditioner was on, and where I was stationed didn't have air conditioning, so I sat on one of his tires and ate my lunch. So
that's always a good place. That's definitely a draw. It's a way to make friends. I mean, you had an air-conditioned trailer is always a good thing to draw a crowd, and you definitely become well known at the track.
Yeah,
sure.
well, while they were working outside in the heat, working on the car, I was in there. Having
supervising.
lunch.
That's one thing I give them credit. They are always out there working on that car.
Oh, definitely.
And that it shows in the year end and how he's definitely been able to dominate the F1000 championship this year.
Well, it does because
they ended up winning the runoffs. They're no matter what it takes, they will get the job done.
Now I heard somewhere that he had problems with a motor this weekend.
They went through a couple in testing. I'm not sure. They few little basically self-inflicted wounds. One of them, they forgot to pressure test an engine, and one of the lines was loose, and water leaked everywhere and did some damage to the engine. There were some other issues. I'm not sure what the other one was, but I remember offhand, I cannot remember for the life of me what did the second one. And that's the one thing that these motors are they're reliable if everything, if you go through your checklist and everything is right on par, but there's a lot of things that you can forget to do, and because they are designed for a motorcycle, and there's a few things that you have to change and a few things you have to check a little often. But it's when you forget something on a race car engine, things are not going to go well. Oh, no. And that's kind of
everything's.
There were a few guys that went through the same thing. Kevin Rogenbach went through a few during the week, and they couldn't really figure out how to get. I think it was fuel pressure, if I remember correctly, and just kept running them too high RPM to try and make up for it, and popped the fuel.
Well, it's something you just can't pull over and call AAA.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. There's no roadside service for a motorcycle engine once you put it in one of these cars and run it at 170 miles an hour. That's for sure.
Yeah, running harder, running in a vehicle twice as heavy as it was designed for. It brings up the fact that
840 pounds and trying to make them. And the biggest thing I think is having the fact that they're not really. A motorcycle leans over in the corners, and you don't experience the same level of G-force on the engine. So a lot of times, if you in a regular car, if you lose, you can forget to put oil in it a little bit, and it'll survive. It might do a little bit of damage. Well, these, if you run a little low and you go through a 3G corner, all the
everything shifts.
Done.
Yeah.
And if it's a little low on oil, it's definitely not going to work that well.
Right.
Yeah, and in a motorcycle, like you said, it tips over. So if the oil goes to the bottom, the engine's tipping over and kind of following with it. But in the case of the race car, it's pulling more G's at a different attitude.
Right. I know it doesn't lean over as well when you have four wheels as opposed to two.
As the motorcycle guys would say, it leans the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's right.
That is correct.
Dustin, can you hold on?
One of the issues with the. I'm sorry?
Can you hold on a little bit, because we're going to have to break for some commercial. We'll be back in about a minute.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Got to pay some bills.
All right, we're back. We're back with Dustin Hodges from F100, F1000 series race car. I keep
F100. That was back in the day.
There.
That was that was something else. In fact, they're going to be. No, it's 1600. It's going to be at NJMP this weekend. That's right. But talking about the escapades over at Indianapolis for the SCCA runoffs 2017, and just talking about a little bit about our the different entrants that were in this race. And now we beat up Alex Mayer. Is there any other impressed drivers that you saw?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things that was really interesting to watch this whole year has been the battle for second place in our championship. Even though Alex did win 8 races and kind of locked that in a while ago, the second place battle was always just between Jason Slayer and Tim Pierce. And they battled wheel to wheel all year long. And they ended up only half a point separating them at the end of the season. Tim Pierce came out ahead in second place by half a point in the year-end championship. Wow. It's absolutely amazing to watch those guys all year long. They have just been going at it, and it's been great fun to watch. And all the way through the field, we had guys come up, and there was one of the gentlemen that joined us after he missed the first 2 whole weekends, Mike Myers, and he ended up 5th in the championship points.
He must have been on a tear.
Coming to the races, and it was definitely impressive to watch him climb through the points.
Oh yeah, he placed. I mean, not a podium, but he placed in the run.
So did I hear you right? You said a half a point?
A half a point.
How do you get a half a point?
Place. Well, one of the things you can do in our series, you get a couple points for pole, you get 1 point for fastest lap, and you get 1 point for the Sunoco Hard Charger Award. And with the Sunoco Hard Charger Award, it's how many places you advance your position throughout the race. So a lot of times we have guys and in this race actually, we had 2 gentlemen who both passed 3 cars. So they, instead of them getting 1 point each, they both got a half a point.
Interesting. Okay, that makes sense.
It happened earlier in the year with 1 point as well. I think 2 guys both passed 2 or 3 cars in a race, and that was again, because the series is run by the drivers, and they vote on the majority of the aspects of everything that happens. When no one had really planned for a tie in the Sunoco Hard Charger Award, so we put it to the drivers: do you want to each get a point? Do you want to split the points? Whatever you want to do. And the drivers voted that we should just split the point instead of continuing to add more points to the total and make it. They thought this would be less confusing. And in this case, it turned out to be actually made the championship even closer fight. So it worked out pretty well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because the series is run by the drivers and governed by the drivers, which what makes it fair, really.
For the people, by the people.
But yeah, that's right. This series is a democracy, here. So no,
that's the way it's designed. Yeah. Absolutely, and it's you don't want somebody some demagogue or whatever telling you what to do all the time. So yeah. It works out, and the guys get to vote on where to race and how much money to pay out and things like that. And I think it does help because we've already starting to attract new sponsors and increase car counts. We added a couple of new sponsors over the weekend for the runoffs, and they're coming on again for next year. One of them was MPT Lubricants out of Jersey. They created a true full synthetic lubricant and are coming on the series to provide complimentary oil to all teams. So
wow.
It's one more cost that we can help mitigate on the weekends is nobody has to pay for oil anymore.
That's great.
Mike's a heck of a gentleman, and he makes a fantastic product.
Yeah. They do. Mike is. I'm glad you know him. He's a wonderful man. He came out to the runoffs and watched some races, and it was very nice to finally meet him and thank him personally for coming on with the series. And
great.
It was definitely a great thing for the drivers.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, it's all about the drivers, and the drivers, like I said, they govern themselves and they have fun, and they it's one big family, that and they run. That's great. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of as you mentioned, the family is, and that was great when we were looking at our manufacturer title. All year long, the series has give back every dime that we've gotten to the drivers in the payouts, and there wasn't any money kept back for anything other than the driver championship and race purses.
Right.
And one of the things that I looked at was, we have a manufacturer title. We need to somehow get something to recognize the winner of the manufacturer title from JDR Race Cars. And so I went to all the guys who have his car, and they all threw in money into a pot and spent a couple $100 on a really nice trophy for the manufacturer's title.
Wow.
Oh, that's neat.
That was kind of a nice little thing for all of them to do, which I thought was really nice.
Oh, that's great. I hope you guys stay together because next year would be exciting. To see see everything from the start. You know.
Yeah, you guys have been putting on a good
definitely.
show.
Yeah.
Definitely look forward to seeing you back here and keeping an eye out for you when I'm on the road.
That's right.
Oh, sure, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
have our schedule announced here in the next few months. The drivers
great.
are voting on where they want to race next year. Right now, it's being discussed, and hopefully we can release that schedule pretty soon. We have already an increased commitment for next year. I had 6 guys that were at the runoffs that didn't join us all year long and said they're going to come race with us next year.
Nice.
So we're looking at
Nice.
having between 18 to 20 cars almost
Oh,
at
wow.
every race.
That's great. That's great. Dustin, thanks for calling in and giving us the information about the FB series. And
I really appreciate you guys having me. Thanks again for letting me call in and keep you guys updated.
sure, we
Thank
look forward
you.
to next year.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Thank
All right,
you.
Don't be a stranger, Dustin. Thank you.
Call in anytime.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You guys have a good night.
Yep, you too
You
now.
too.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye now.